In order for the nervous system to communicate with other cells, action potentials must be rapidly conducted over long distances. The process that allows the conduction of or propagation of an action potential along the entire membrane of an axon are not very different from those generated at the trigger zone. A positive feedback cycle is set in motion when a graded potential reaches a threshold and initiates an action potential at the trigger zone of an axon. Depolarization of the first segment of membrane progresses as the sodium gates continue to open and lasts until the charge is completely reversed. When the action potential reaches its peak, the positive nature of the membrane causes potentials to spread to adjacent segments of the membrane simultaneously. Repolarization of the first segment of membrane begins with the opening of voltage-gated potassium channels and the inactivation of sodium channels. The graded potential is unable to reach threshold and generate another action potential in the section of the membrane that is refractory. The nervous impulse is conducted along the membrane to the next segment as the graded potential there reaches threshold and self-propagates an action potential again. The cycle or wave of depolarizations continue until the impulse reaches the axon terminal. Myelination, axon diameter, and temperature all have an effect on conduction of an electrical impulse. Let's explore each one of these. Propagation of an action potential along axons of neurons that are not covered by myelin sheath requires that all of the membrane must undergo depolarization. This kind of conduction occurs along unmyelinated axons and is called continuous conduction. In the peripheral nervous system, Schwann cells form myelin sheaths by wrapping their cell membranes in multiple layers around an axon. The axon is now electrically insulated, except for the gaps called nodes of Ranvier, where the membranes are exposed. Because myelin electrically insulates the axon and prevents ion currents across the membrane, depolarization of myelinated axon occurs only at nodes of Ranvier. This form of conduction, where the signal appears to leap from one node to another, is called saltatory conduction. Energy efficiency and longer distance between depolarization sites make saltatory conduction much more rapid than continuous conduction. The diameter of axons. Larger diameter axon conducts action potentials more rapidly than smaller diameter axons. This is because there is less resistance to carrying a charge in larger axons. Finally, let's take a look at temperature. Axons that are cooled, as with the application of ice, conducts action potentials less rapidly than axons that are warmer.